What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Co-op Podcast. This is episode 81, the Co-op Podcast on thecoalition.com. Next to me, I got a bunch of the usual suspects over here. I got Mr. Richard Bailey, Editor-in-Chief of the Coalition. How you doing, my dude?
What's up, listeners? Just taking it easy. Ready to talk about some games.
Nice. So next to him, we got Mr. Gary Swavey. How you doing, Gary? How you been?
How's it going? Good to be back. I just wanna say that my thoughts are with you, Brazil. You'll pull through.
Enough of this World Cup nonsense, okay? Too much of this World Cup nonsense, okay? Let's move on. Next thing, we got Mr. Charles. How you doing, Charles? What's going on?
Well, I'm going to talk about the World Cup too. Shouts out to Argentina. I hope they take Germany out. But yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm glad to be here.
Damn World Cup. Anyway, next to him, special guest Michael A. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, it was good. I haven't seen Jake in a while since he was busy, so it was good to see you back on the podcast, man. Hope to have a good show. And also, I'm rooting for Germany, so Hail Hydra. Let's go.
I'm about to flip a table with all this foosball talk. Anyway, also on the show here we got Austin. How you doing, Austin? What's happening?
I'm doing good, Jake. Nothing much, man. I'm not a big soccer fan, so I can't add anything to that conversation.
Thank God. Anyway, but I'm just sick. I'm just tired of it. It's my feeds on all my social media have just been blown up with the World Cup, and I'm just like, okay, I'm good. I'm good.
You need to stop being a hater.
I'm not being a hater. I'm just saying, like, okay, it's cool. Okay, I got it. The World Cup was happening. I don't need to be bombarded with it. That's all I'm saying.
I bet you weren't saying that during E3 when they had bombarded of gaming news.
Hell no, I was like E3 freaking, walking promotion. I was all good.
Well, hold on now. The big difference is, though, when The Last Guardian is not shown at Sony's press conference, people don't set buses on fire like they did in Brazil. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, because it's in Brazil. When that Last Guardian wasn't announced, if I was currently in Brazil at the time, I'd have burned a bus or two myself.
but I bet you when they announced Uncharted 4, everybody was in the streets dancing.
I didn't care to see Nathan Drake waking up from a nap. I don't care about that.
Hey, if there were a large enough group like there were in Brazil when Last Guardian wasn't announced, I would have burned the bus if I would have known that I would have gotten away.
I bet you that happens after Tokyo Game Show. But either way, moving on, gentlemen. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Me personally, I just got Borderlands 2 for my PS Vita. Not too long ago, I got it as a gift for my Vita. It passed a little while back. Pretty cool. To be honest with you, nowhere near the level of quality of the console version, obviously. Difference in hardware. A lot of little problems, both graphically as well as technically. I really wish that there was 4-player co-op that could have at least, still made the transfer over from the platforms. But hey, you got to take what you could get. Is it a really good port? No. Is it an interesting game to have on your PS Vita library? Probably not. Is it a good for fans of the actual series? Yeah, well, if you're a hardcore fan, you're going to buy it anyway. So, that being said, let's move on to Gary over here. Gary, what have you been playing?
I haven't been playing much, to be honest. Just I've been playing catch up. Playing Dragon Age, a bit of Final Fantasy 14, and I did get the final episode of Wolf Among Us, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't even talk about that. So yeah, not much of a difference from last week in my gaming habits. So I guess move on to the next person.
All right. So, Richard, what have you been playing, man? Anything interesting lately?
Yeah, I've been playing the game of life. So this week, I have nothing to talk about as far as games are concerned.
I was gonna say, what's this? What's this that you played that game of life on? Was that on the Vita or?
Yeah, I was playing Fibonacci Life on 3DS.
It's on every system. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Nintendo, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast. It's on everything.
But is it on PC? PC Master Race?
Oh yeah, it's on PC too. Yeah, the most superior version, of course, got to be.
With those hyper extra super large, textures.
That's right. But I'll have a lot more to say the next time because I got a whole bunch of games that I've just received. So we'll talk about that next week.
Nice, interesting. Things are cooking over there. So, Michael, what have you been playing, man? Since I haven't heard from you in a minute, what's in your systems right now?
This week, what have I been playing? I downloaded a bunch of games yesterday on Xbox because of the summer sale they were doing. I went ahead and got Witcher 2 because I haven't played that on console. I played a little bit of that on PC, so I figured I might as well give the game a complete go through. I got Witcher 2. I finally got Deus Ex, so I can finally play through that. This week though, I've been playing Street Fighter. I've been playing games on my 3DS. I need to finish Project Cross Zone, and what else was I playing? Oh,
That's
Max
a
Payne
long
3.
game.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm almost at the end of that though. I hope. I don't know actually. I put in a lot of time into that, and I finally started my Max Payne 3 that I got, and I'm really enjoying that game.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. So Charles, what have you been playing, man? What's in your systems?
I've been playing a lot of Grid Autosport. I've been playing a lot of League of Legends. What was the other? Oh, Last of Us Online. That's pretty much it for me. I haven't had too much time to play, so I know in the next couple weeks I'll be picking that up a good bit. I'll have a lot more time.
Nice. So Austin, anything interesting or different from what's been said? What have you been playing?
You know, honestly, I went back and I finished Fable Anniversary, and I know it felt like 10 years had not gone by.
Was it just good, just like how you remember?
It still has the jank, but yeah, it's a
Awesome.
time capsule within itself.
Sweet. So let's talk about some news because some stuff's been going on over here. Some interesting news for you Gears of War fan. I can't believe I can't pronunciate today. Coltrane might be coming back for the next Gears of War. So this could mean a couple things. It could mean that maybe he has a bigger role in the story, unlike in the previous games. It can mean also we might see some recurring cast from the older games as well. Maybe characters that may have died. Who knows at this point? But Coltrane, popular in some regard. Some people love him. Some people hate him. Whatnot. What do you guys think overall about Coltrane? At least in the next game that's going to be in this series.
I think they should move away from the characters. I think they should move away from all of them, honestly. I hadn't finished the last one, so I'm not exactly sure of what state the other characters are left in. But they need to just get some original people in there and draw some new fans in and get like a new fan base for new people. That's just my opinion.
Last one, do you mean like you haven't played Judgment, or do you mean you haven't finished 3?
3. I
okay,
didn't
go ahead.
Okay, so you checked out Judgment, but you haven't finished 3.
Right. But I didn't finish either one of them. I wouldn't really count Judgment, honestly. My bad. But
Oh yeah, no, something I can run with that. That's pretty good.
word. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But let me ask you guys this: do you think like someone like Coltrane is worth bringing back at this point, or is he worth revisiting? Did he really contribute enough in the last couple of games? Just in all the games for the most part of the Gears of War franchise, to warrant coming back again as a recurring character. Is he that popular?
I mean, not only was he the token black guy, but he was also like comic relief. So he's not like a major character to bring back into the series. And like Charles said, I think they need an all new cast because based on how 3 ended. I mean, I didn't play Judgment. I don't even know what it's about. But based on how 3 ended, it kind of seems like it's better to go in a new direction with new characters.
I don't know. When I think Augustus Cole, I think about that line from Gears of War Judgment. Coltrane takes what he wants, and that's what stands out to me.
You know something? When I think about Cole, I think of that rap at the end of the first game. Like that's the only real thing that really resonated or still was memorable from me. From that franchise about that character anyway. It was just silly, so silly and outlandish.
Look
But
at
I
all
mean,
that news.
all the characters, none of the characters, that's my point with Gears. Gears isn't a game like that where you're supposed to. It's not like Halo where you're supposed to try to resonate and really respect the characters like that. The characters don't really have much depth to them. The deepest character in Gears is Baird.
I don't know.
That's pretty much it. All the other characters are
He's
extremely
much deeper than Marcus. You think so?
Yes, they did that on purpose because they never even delve into Marcus's real background and why he is that way. You have to read the comics to figure that out. They did that on purpose. Like Epic has come out and said that. So it's like.
Oh, sorry.
No, what were you saying? My fault.
I was just no. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so to me, honestly, do I care if Cole? I mean, Cole and Baird were my 2 favorite characters. They're the only 2 characters in Gears I like. The rest of them, they could die and I wouldn't care. That's why when Dom died in 3, I didn't care. It was supposed to be this really big, sad moment, and I didn't care because I'm like, he didn't. It's like, well, he didn't really contribute anything. His story was sad already, but it wasn't really sad because of him. It was more sad because of his wife. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like when you saw once you figured out the fate of his wife, I didn't care what happened to Dom. It was like you're pointless to the story, and you already knew he was gonna die when you figured out his wife was dead, and now he doesn't care to live anymore. I'm like, gee, I wonder which of the Gears is gonna die next. Like it was either him or Cole because Cole's black. It was one of those two, and they went with the guy who wasn't black but is like half Hispanic, so they kind of still played up to the stereotype. I don't know, but like me personally, if Cole being there, I mean, it's not making me want to play Gears more. But I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing. They're gonna have to come up with new characters. So.
But wait a second. Haven't you heard? This is why Cole is coming back for the next Gears of War, so he could be one of the first people that they killed. That they could say, "Oh yeah, we didn't forget. We make sure we gonna follow the script."
I got a question. All right, so if he does come back, do y'all want them to try to develop him more or continue to be comic relief?
Is he worth visiting like that? Is what the real question is.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Like, do we know that Gears 4 is going? Cause I mean, they can't go forward from 3. It has to be a prequel, especially if Cole's there.
There's always a more ancient threat out there. It could probably still be a sequel.
Oh, it's a bigger fish.
Maybe they could also explore a little more of E-Day, because technically, even in all the games, they haven't really kind of gone to like the point of like what was going down during E-Day.
But that's my point. If they do E-Day, that would be a prequel. It'd be a prequel that's 25 years in the past, so they can't use these characters. They can't go. So they couldn't do a E-Day game with Cole in it, like to my knowledge.
Here's what makes the cardinal sin of opening up all these plot holes that are never addressed again. When they go down to see the Locust City, they're like, this almost seems like it's older than the Locust. And there's the things in the mountain, the half-human, half-locust that we never see again. It's I think they could take it forward. I think they could do a sequel. I don't know. If I can be honest, I kind of like Cole. I think Cole's arc in 3 as a hero, a hero in his own mind, kind of as an icon that lost his audience. I thought that was really touching. I love that segment where he gets to play thrashball again, because that's a man trying to relive his dreams, and I'm able to connect with Cole in that moment. I don't really care though for Baird. I've got enough smart asses in entertainment as it is. I was never really a big fan. But
well, I mean, it's like with these characters, like me, I actually like read the graphic novels for Gears because they're actually really good, which is why I'm always confused why they never, like I was confused before why they didn't infuse more of those elements into the game. It's like you have all this story here, and there's actually other Gears that you don't see in the game that are really cool characters. Like, why not show that? But then they basically said, well, we made this game to be like cheap fun. Like, we didn't really want to go that deep into it. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, to me, like, I can understand why a lot of people think Cole Baird is just like some smartass, but like when you find out, and actually, this is the one thing, the one saving grace of Judgment for me, when you find out why Baird lost his position, like, and you find out how like he's basically smarter than everyone. So it's a frustrating position when you're smarter than everyone around you, and you're telling them how to fight this battle or what strategies to use, but because like you're in the military where it's like, no, I have experience or I have rank, so you're gonna do what I say, and if not, I will derank you even further. It's like it's frustrating to him. That's why when he meets Marcus and they promote Marcus over him, he's like, why are you promoting this guy? I was a higher rank than him before the war, like before all this started, and I meet a guy who just got out of prison, and you promote him over me? Like, that makes no sense.
Anybody would be pissed off at that point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But they don't explain a lot of that. They just kind of hint at it, and it's like, oh, if you want more, go read the book. It's like, but most people who play Gears don't read, so they're not going to get this stuff. Like, they're really missing out. I don't know.
Fans are going to get that.
I think that brings up a bigger point, though, and I think you kind of hit a bigger spectrum, and I think a big problem with game expanded fiction or the expanded universe with a lot of these game franchises is kind of like unlike movies where the material is supportive in nature. You know, like you watch Star Wars, you want to know what happened between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, you either read or you play Shadows of the Empire, versus a lot of the Gears of War stuff, and I've noticed a lot of the Halo stuff, you're really lost if you haven't read the books.
Same thing also Mass Effect. Mass Effect's the same thing. Mass Effect's got a lot more substance to it, though.
I think Mass Effect handled it, like, I read the first Mass Effect book and then I played the game, and I think it handled itself well in the sense that you knew there was beef between Anderson and Saren, but you really kind of got the book to support that material. It was supplemental in nature versus I played Halo 4. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
There's all these references. But Gears of War, they definitely introduce a lot of significant characters outside of the games, which I'm not sure that's the best way to do it, personally.
Dude, I agree. I honestly do. I mean, at least, try to give us a good basis, or at least if you're going to introduce characters or have characters that are significant to the overarching universe like that, they should at least have it, like, put to the forward, put to the front for us, in the games to actually see everything. And then they want to get into a little bit much more backstory that kind of just supports or adds more to everything, then go into, like, the game, like other games, or again, like, short movies or books and stuff like that, short stories. It feels like a better way to handle stuff like that. But either way, speaking of Gears of War, Cliffy B, the guy who pretty much helped create Gears of War, he's doing an arena shooter now. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's going to be very similar to some other arena shooters that's what you've had in the past or whatnot. I don't have the game listed on here. What's it called again, guys? What is it?
Wait, is it officially announced yet?
I think it's Bluestreak is the name of the game.
Bluestreak.
Okay.
It's what?
I think
Bluestreak.
it's Bluestreak.
Blue Stream? Blue Screen?
Bluestreak. Like the Martin
Blue
Lawrence
Streak,
movie.
okay. Blue Streak, okay.
Yeah.
Well, but it's going to be a brand new game that, again, it's going to kind of harp back to those arena-style shooters, kind of like similar to Quake or Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you guys, what do you think of this? Like, again, is it so much really that much of a different turnaround compared to what we?
It makes sense though, but when you think about what he's been doing, like his experience with shooters has basically been that. Like, he was with Epic for a while, and like we all know, like they used to do Unreal, they used to do arena shooters and whatnot. They tried to bring back Unreal, but like I guess they failed to realize that gamers now don't want shooters that are hard to play and take skill. They want easy games. So
that's right there exactly why I'm excited about this, because I didn't know about him doing that until I saw the topic list. But I'm a big fan of arena shooters, and to see a new one will be very awesome, because it takes skill, and like a lot of these games don't really take that much skill or a lot of forethought and strategy.
I mean, and I'm just guessing based on what his official, because I follow his official Twitter, and the official Twitter for the company basically hinted at. I mean, we still have to wait for them to actually reveal the game in terms of like visuals and actual gameplay. So who knows? Maybe he'll make a dumbed down one too, but who knows?
Do you think this is going to make some sort of resurgence for arena-based shooters now? I mean, again, because it's radically different from what's out here now. This point.
Well,
there will never be a resurgence for that.
I don't think there will be a resurgence, but it'll be good to have that, because
I have terrible audio issues.
That game, the game that was on Xbox that got announced for Xbox One, like the big surprise one. I can't remember the name right now. If anyone knows what I'm talking about.
The big surprise one.
What genre was it?
I think it's kind of Phantom Dust. It's kind of an arena, like
it's arena RPG magic shooter-ish.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be a niche market. It's not going to like cause other developers to be like, "Hey, arena shooters, let's do it." Nah.
But don't you think this would click on though? Because again, we have a lot of MOBAs out there, a lot of people that love games and the type of style that, again, like League of Legends, that have those same type of like not the same gameplay mechanics, but the same kind of like approach.
But that's why
to, like, combat and competition.
That's exactly why the arena shooters won't take off. Because that's what I've been trying to explain to you. Like, gamers now don't have the patience or the wherewithal to just grind at a game till they are good at it. They don't want to do that.
I disagree
with MOBAs. I mean, you can disagree with it, but the reason MOBAs are so big is because MOBAs are easy to play.
Legends, though, a game like League of
MOBAs, I disagree.
To do stuff like that.
No, think of the. I'm not saying League of Legends doesn't have depth. I'm talking about ease of playing it. It's not a hard game to play. Like anyone that you can use a computer, you sit down and click on something. You press buttons once and they do an action. They have like a 2-minute cooldown. That's simple.
Like that, all right.
Whereas when you're
Like-
playing a
like-
game
like-
I gather what you're saying. I gather what you're saying, and like you can pretty much use that for any game. Like it's basic to play, but it's nowhere near that easy to master it and to continue playing it. No,
I'm not talking about mastering it. Every game has a level where you can master it. I'm talking about playing it. A game like a game like Unreal 2003, if that was to come out now, no one would play it because no one would be able to hit anyone, or they would play someone like Fatality or those greats from the past, and they would be seen and immediately headshotted. There's no chance for you to run away. It's not multiple shots. You die in an instant. You have to be agile. It's not very well.
When you play those top tier people in games like mobile games, that happens too. Like it still happens. There is a level of skill there.
True.
There's the amount of time that they put into it.
Does it happen instantaneously? The moment someone sees you in a mobile, are you dead?
But you're talking. It's a shooter versus a MOBA title. There's still skill. Like
I mean,
it's not gonna be a one shot where you die. But there will be like if you slip up for 1 second, you're done.
I'm not saying that MOBAs aren't like there's not a level of depth to MOBAs. What I've been saying from the beginning is that it is easier to get into a MOBA because it's easier to play.
So let me ask you this then, okay? Based off of all that, like what you guys just said, because of the level of competition and level of competitiveness that presents, very similar to, again, the MOBA style of market that's out right now that's pretty hot with games like League of Legends or whatnot, or even, again, the competitive FPS crowd, again, that are still playing like Call of Duty, like Halo, and the like, or whatnot. Okay, do you still think that this is somewhat going to be successful when it does release because of the people that are still craving that type of crowd or craving that type of competition?
I don't think it'll become a cash cow. I think it'll just find kind of a spot in the competitive world.
Like the MLG will pick this up or something.
Right, because the people that stick around, like what he was saying, there are some games that are easier to pick up, but there are going to be people that stick around to master it and get really competitive with it. Those people will stay, but I don't think that'll convince other developers to start making arena titles. That was like the original point.
Because the thing is, like games like Call of Duty spawned a whole new type of gamer who, like
It's so casual. It's so casual.
They want quick and easy gratification. You don't get that in arena shooters. You're gonna lose a lot when you first start playing those games. Suck it up and play it. That was the mentality back in the day. Now it's, maybe you went 10 and 40 in Call of Duty, but you got 10 kills and it looked awesome, right? That's what they will want out of a shooter now. That's still what people want out of a shooter now. That's why even games like Ghost Recon came out and they had to change their formula. Why does Ghost Recon need a respawn system and you're running around in a small area? That's the complete antithesis of what Ghost Recon is.
Because that's what's hot in the market right now.
That's what's hot. And that's my point. That's what's hot in the market now.
And if they do drop that, the chances are they won't cater to that market. I don't think they will. And that's why I think it'll just find you'll see it on MLG. You'll see the tournaments. It's going to make money on that end, but with Twitch and everything. But as far as a thing that the industry gets behind, it's not going to happen.
Nope, and that's what I was trying to say.
And I think free to play is going to scare a lot of people off too. Free to play is as it stands.
Is it supposed to be free to play?
Oh yeah, it's free to play.
Yeah, it's free to play. Yeah.
Okay.
I think free to play burns. I think it rubs them the wrong way. The idea that that guy cannot be a good, as good a player as I am, but by God, he can spend $15 on better armor and guns.
That's true.
And that's a real concern. That's
all about how you end up doing it, because the microtransactions, that definitely scares everyone. But they're like games like League of Legends, the microtransactions don't affect the gameplay at all. It just affects the aesthetics. Yeah, like your character looks different.
Even a game, I don't know if you guys have played Loadout.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, Loadout has microtransactions in it. You can get weapons and stuff like that, but you're not going to buy something in Loadout that makes you better than you were before. You're still going to get bopped by someone who plays hard like all the time, and even if they haven't spent a dime. Or a game like World of Tanks. That's free to play. You can buy your premium tanks. You can buy things to level up and get to higher tiers. But the way the multiplayer works, even if you got a ranked tier tank, and I only have a rank 3 tank, we would never find each other anyway in multiplayer. You'd only play other people with rank 10 tanks, and if they earned them and they're better than you, you're getting bodied. Like there's no.
I mean, you're still going to see a differentiation in terms of ability. That's how free to play games.
Yeah, like you they got to make sure that little Silver Spoon Timmy that has mom
Silver
putting
Spoon.
hundreds of dollars into the game. He's gonna look really, really good while he's getting his ass kicked, pretty much.
Hashtag Tim Spoon.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I
Either
mean, that's
way.
a valid. I don't know. People, I don't understand the hate of free to play because you got to remember 3-4 years ago, people were complaining that we're spending
I think
$60 on
birth-
games.
I think it gives birth to the play to win mentality, which turns a lot of people off.
That's
But I
true.
mean, but
Pay
I
to
mean,
win.
but I mean, think of, okay, games are like they have to do something to make money. We can't completely be against people who make
You
games
have to maintain those
and
servers.
bust their asses. Yeah, making money. Like it's a business. If it's not profitable, they'll just stop. And it's like people complain when they charge $60 for a game. That's too expensive. And well, gaming prices, like the cost of development, keeps increasing. It's only more expensive to make games now. All right, let's try this DLC thing.
They're kind of cheaper than how it's been in the past. In like way in the past, they're cheaper in the grand scheme of things when you take inflation into account. But a lot of people don't understand that as far as like it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of budgeting to make a big AAA type of game. There's a lot of
I don't know how you could say that when development teams for games now are in the thousands. There are thousands of people programming games. Back in the day,
You mean collectively or for one game? Because that
For
is
one-
the exception.
for one game, the vast majority.
Ubisoft is the
it
individual
varies from studio to
which
studio,
is running
honestly.
crazy.
Okay, think of your cheapest. Think of the biggest game that's out now, the cheapest one to make. Like you said Uncharted cost what, 20 million to make. How many people do you think worked on Uncharted? You think Uncharted was made by a team of 5 to 10 people? Hell no.
There's a few hundred people.
There's hundreds
Yeah,
of
like-
people working on that game. Like that's insane. And these are hundreds of people putting in full-time hours before the games come out for years and after to create more future content and to maintain servers for online play.
Yeah.
And people are crazy at spending $60 for that game that you can continuously play for years on forward. So the people are thinking, okay, we got to find a new cash model. Let's try this free-to-play model. And now people are complaining about that, and it's like, well, what do you want? You don't want them charging $60 for a game. You don't want
You
free
have
to
it both
play.
ways.
I mean, like personal opinion, I believe in one price, one game model. That's just me. What was the Xbox game? Like Hand of God or Ascension of Crew or whatever. The one that was microtransaction riddled.
Yeah.
Played it for like 2 days and then realized the guy with the better equipment is going to continue to kick my ass. I either play for 36 hours and enough in-game gold, or I drop $50 of real money, and it's just I think it does. I think free-to-play like DLC kind of rubs people the wrong way.
It's just also the way that it's handled by some studios. Like DLC, like, not microtransactions, but like DLC, like additional content, like for example, like Mass Effect, like with the whole Mass Effect 3 stuff, that could have been handled a little bit better. It could actually further enhance not only the excitement and the hype of the game, but again, enhance the experience that what players are going to have or whatnot. But now it's coming out in like certain times, especially due to companies like Capcom and stuff. The way that they've handled their DLC is kind of gave everybody like a sour taste in their mouths, and they're judging everybody across the board. So whenever you hear about DLC like that, it's always in a negative connotation.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about Capcom is they use DLC as really an excuse to release the same game a la Street Fighter.
Oh, it's more than that with Capcom. You have to remember what they did with that.
It's a little more than that, but
look
you
at
totally
what they
right.
did with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. They had the DLC characters
my
on
goodness.
disc already, and they blocked them. And you had to pay money to access content already on the disc you paid for it. That'd be like
And it
going
was
to
on
McDonald's
console.
and you buy a Happy Meal and you open up the bag, and when you start to eat the fries, you have to go back and pay them $3 before you can eat the French fries. But I already paid you for the French fries.
What's your stance on Day One DLC?
That's
Day
fine.
one DLC could be handled fine too. Again, it's an offer that's there. Okay, it may not necessarily be on the disc or whatnot. That's cool. But again, it's the way that it's perceived, it's the way that it's presented. I think is what really rubs people the wrong way sometimes.
Like I think Fallout 3 had Day One DLC. And I
Mass
didn't
Effect
mind
had Day One DLC.
Yeah, and these are games where you're getting a complete RPG experience, and on top of that, they're offering you extra stuff to do after that. That's completely then when I'm buying a fighting game, you're giving me a lower character count and then charging me in the future to get the rest.
That right there is the key, because like with a lot of these older franchises that are embracing free to play now, that doesn't work well because like I keep using League of Legends as an example, but they're one of the better success stories. They have new characters coming out all the time that these people want to pay for that they don't know about. But if I played Tekken and I had 40 characters in my Tekken Tag 2, and then I get Tekken Revolution and I have like 4, and I have to pay to get more or pay in order to fight in order to unlock them, then that turns me off to it because these are characters I already know.
Yeah.
They're already there.
Well,
And then
the way that Capcom handled it was completely the opposite. It's like ass backwards
No,
almost.
Charles.
Capcom is a special case. Like they're on some special BS with how they handle everything with DLC. So like it's just they're gonna rob you.
And it's not just Street Fighter; it's all their games. It's like look at what was the one that was like with Dark Arisen? What was it called? What is it?
The one with what?
They had an
you're
expansion
talking
called
the Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma had the same problem and stuff like that. And then they had most of the other games.
They did it in Resident Evil 5.
But
Yeah.
Capcom,
Added the multiplayer mode to it, and you had to pay $5. It was already on the disc.
well, I'll
Let
tell
me
you,
ask you-
Dragon's Dogma wasn't as bad of a situation, except that like they released like kind of a Game of the Year edition, and it had extra stuff with it. I don't throw Dragon's Dogma in as bad of a position as the other ones. Plus, it was actually cheaper. But go ahead.
I was going to ask you. I saw you hold up a Dragon Age guide a second ago, right?
Yes,
You have you played through Dragon Age Origins?
I have, and I have the DLC to play through next. I haven't done all of it.
Well, like Gary, you've played Dragon Age Origins, correct? We talked about this
Yep.
last time.
Yep, and that's one of the best cases of like DLC I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it was done very well in the game.
Yeah,
Oh,
give
I
me
mean,
a
I-
full experience.
What about Skyrim? Skyrim's another one.
Well, no, I think in regards to Dragon Age, it's great DLC. The one I want to single out, because there's a lot of Dragon Age DLC, but
Oh,
like
true.
the Stone Warrior, the Shale content feels like it was legitimately taken from the game. Is that when the line's drawn? When it
I
feels
agree.
like
Yeah,
That is the problem right there, because like that's my
It's
problem.
like an
Day
addition.
one,
It's like a necessity that you have.
yeah,
to
day one DLC. Like I don't understand that. I've never been a fan of that because I'm like, day one, you're announcing this before the game comes out, meaning that you developed this already. It's there, but you decided to take this piece away from me to offer as a pre-order incentive or extra expansion. Like I don't like that. Just give me the full game and then take time to develop another part after the fact. Don't have it on the disc, under a bunch of code or something like that.
yeah. With regards to the shell thing, I personally I don't think it's that bad when you compare it to Mass Effect 3 when they had the Prothean or whatever. They had that DLC.
Yeah,
I think that's way worse than the Shell one because the thing is, they spent 2 games telling us about the Protheans and everything to where we're completely like mystified by them. Like we want to know more about them and everything.
Yeah,
and
like
they tease
if
us. They tease us by saying, "Oh, you get to play as a Prothean in this game, but you gotta pay for it the day the game comes out."
But
And
think
you
about that for a second, though. Isn't that not necessarily not as bad? It actually, instead, is like a smart move because think about it. If you didn't get the Prothean from Mass Effect 3, you still had an amazing experience overall playing through that game. That wasn't
No, you
to
didn't.
the point where you felt like you were
wouldn't say
missing something.
Amazing
I wouldn't say
experience.
amazing, but
and I
Maybe
think,
not an amazing experience, but I think
Okay,
what
but a really good meaty
you
experience.
got a quote unquote complete experience. Like it wasn't a
well,
truncated
I don't even
experience.
know if I'd say
Exactly.
because I think it's a situation where you get to the point where, and I'm not even necessarily anti day one DLC. If the game goes gold and you're still releasing 2 months and you started work on the DLC 3 months ago, I can forgive day one DLC. But I think if it's a situation where the game doesn't feel complete without it, I think obviously if you guys play Dragon Age Origins and you take Shale with you, there's this whole 30-minute conversation between Caradan and Shale in the Deep Roads content. Just like I think Javik is pretty significant because he's a character who gives you insight to what the Reapers are planning on doing. It's one of those situations where I do feel like the 100% was taken, messed with, and really at the end of the day, we got 96% we're asking to pay for the additional 4. And I'm not anti-day one DLC, but when you don't complete, that's like releasing. I mean, that's like taking a game. That's like taking a Legend of Zelda, and instead of offering an additional dungeon on day one to go through, taking one of the dungeons out of the mix and saying, "Oh, we'll make them pay for this separately."
See, that's different though. That's kind of like
why
paying for
Javik
the
stands
ending of a
out to me.
game. That's kind of like what
Particularly,
Capcom did for Sora's Wrath. Like, get the real ending. You have to pay for that extra chapter to get the official full ending. That's how I think that would be, and that's like really bad.
Well, in Mass Effect's case, that was free. The extended DLC, the extended cut or whatever.
Yeah, that was free, and they had to do that. Well, actually, they didn't have to. They probably shouldn't have.
They should. I was about to say, honestly, they shouldn't have. Because
Yeah, they shouldn't have responded to like people that were complaining.
Nope.
They should have stuck with their
They
guns.
should have stuck with
Like,
their guns.
As
Because
crappy as it was,
Made it worse.
it didn't get any better. That's the thing. Like, you add this in to kind of alleviate people's issues, but it was still bad. Like, it's either we made this game, this is the experience, and it's done, or we made this game, you didn't like the end, we gave you this extra piece, and this sucked too.
I think the original ending, and I don't even really hate the original ending, but I think the original ending is a situation where, I think if you look at the original ending as it is, I think it's a situation that presents itself as a trilogy that has reached a conclusion. I think upon release, there was never a plan to return to the Mass Effect universe. I think, though, if you go back and if you look at the extended cut and how hopeful it is, Shepard's love interest, kind of holding the plaque, and the fact that, spoiler alert, the fact that it survives the destruction ending. I think the extended cut really is a situation that opens itself up for the possibility of more sequels, regardless if they do any more. I think it's telling that as crucial as the original Mass Effect 3 ending is, I think it's a lot more final than what we ended up getting with the extended.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. Honestly, but speaking of
much
feels,
like Master Chief at the end of one of those situations, one of those endings where I think it's like, the story ends here, but it could always go on, versus, oh yeah, we're going to go on from this.
yeah,
They don't want to be original. They want to leave
the
it
Master
open.
Chief ending. They had to do that because they already knew that they didn't know if they were going to make more Halo games, but they were already planning on making a Halo movie. They knew they were making Halo books because they were books announced before the game even came out. And the last book that came out before Halo 3 came out.
That was one of the situations where Bungie announced that year they were going independent. I personally think, I don't know, my opinion is...
they thought it was a wrap.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta remember, Halo and this is probably why Bungie should never sign with Microsoft in the first place. Can't believe I just said that. Once they signed over Halo to Microsoft, they lost control of Halo. Microsoft controls Halo. Like, Bungie had nothing to do with those books. That's all Microsoft is telling people to write the books and whatnot. Which is fortunate, because the books for Halo are amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
you have
they're
to check them
great.
out. If you have not checked out any of those Halo books, please. Like, I'm not even saying that as a gaming fan. You don't even like one of my friends doesn't play games, and he reads the Halo books. Like,
They're
they
great books.
Are they good based off the premise that they're like genuinely good books, or are they good video game books?
They're
They're
really good books. Period.
They're
Yeah.
good books. Like, I actually ended up doing a kind of presentation for a class on one of them. And like, of course, when I first told them it was a video game book, everybody was tripping. But when I went into it, I actually kind of took the first and second, then did a parallel to Ender's Game, which was really interesting. But those books, just by themselves, are really, really good.
I've got a
being
couple of
related
those
to the Halo
books,
world.
but I don't even know which one to start with. I've got Glasslands and Mortar. I can't remember the name.
Okay, yeah, because none of the books you have are the ones in the beginning either. But I mean, and that's the thing. Because I want him to, because I know Gary got into Halo the games. You got in it with 3, right, or was it 4? No, Reach. You got in with Reach, right?
Ooh. And I think ODST was the first one.
ODST. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Charles, man, don't make that face.
he's missing a lot. No, I'm just saying in terms of the story, he's missing a lot of the story. Like
I wasn't saying that was a bad place, like game-wise, to start. He just came in so late.
Yeah, I see that. I figured that's why he was making. Yeah, because I'm like, his first Halo game wasn't even about Master Chief. It was about a recruit.
Exactly.
So he missed.
I'd played the other ones, but only at like friends' houses and stuff. So
gotcha.
I never got
What I would suggest, and what it's worth, Gary, I would suggest if you ever sit down and you go through them as they were released, not chronological order. So knock out 1 through 3, ODST, Reach, maybe Wars, depending if you're an RTS fan.
I don't know. I would say, since you're fortunate enough, I would tell you to play Reach first.
No, I think Reach sets it up like much
Reach.
like the Star Wars prequels versus original. I think you get a lot more from the series if you play 1 through 3. I think thematically it's more engaging as a sequel as opposed to a prequel.
Reach was actually my favorite one.
And that's why I was going to tell him to play it. I know Reach gets a lot of hate, but I think and this is why, and I think it's telling of Bungie's ability. I find Reach is that game that people who weren't Halo fans before, when they play Reach, they enjoy it. Because like the story, it's a lot less linear because it's not just one person you're caring about. You're caring about an entire team. So it's like a lot of different personalities, people you care about. You care what happens to them. You care. I mean, and like it's not so set in stone what happens. Like one of the characters in Reach doesn't die. We don't know where he's at. He leaves with Dr. Hasley. We don't know where. Well, I mean, I know where because I read the books, but we don't know in the game where he's at or his fate and stuff like that. It's really interesting. Whereas with Halo, it's just like this really silent protagonist, and if you don't read the books, it's kind of like, I've seen this before.
I mean, Reach is a good game, and I definitely think I don't think it's going to be any less a good game if he plays it fourth as opposed to playing it first. I think, like I said, thematically, you walk away, you play an entire series as Master Chief, and you build up this idea of an invincible hero. And to me, playing ODST after I played the first 3 gave me that mindset of now I'm playing as a Master Chief that fails. And I think I appreciated that much more as opposed to a Noble Six that succeeded.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you mean by a Master Chief that failed?
A Master Chief that failed in the sense that he didn't save the galaxy. I mean, a Noble Six kind of passed along the torch.
Oh yeah. He had to give up.
Yeah. Spoiler: he still succumbed to. He succumbed.
Well, on the record, Spartans never die, so we don't know what happened to him. I mean, we saw what happened to him. I'm just saying, okay, the official rules: Spartans are never reported dead. They're always missing in action.
Always missing in action.
They're always missing in action.
Leaves it open to interpretation of one another.
It's more so
propaganda.
It's actually it's military propaganda. You don't want these people who are supposed to inspire hope to be seen as human. They're supposed to be superhuman.
It's nice to acknowledge those in-universe rules, but when you find a busted-up helmet and you see 3 guys plunge their swords into him, I think it's safe to say that the audience knows we're not getting another one.
I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. He's a Spartan 3. Spartan 3s are disposable. That's the entire point. In fact, the only Spartan 2 that you've seen die on screen was George in Reach, which was a big deal because they've never shown a Spartan 2 die before. That's the first one you've seen. And you don't even know that he technically dies because it was an explosion. Who knows? But
you never see him die. He's not dead. That is my rule.
That's a comic book mentality right there.
It's a comic book mentality. It's a book mentality. It's a movie mentality. It's a television show mentality.
Oh well, comic books is he's dead, but he'll be back.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, thematically, I think it's much more rewarding when you treat a prequel as a prequel.
Yeah, and sequence like that. I understand.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I get what he says. I mean, I'm one of those people. I personally hate prequels on principle anyway. I'd rather you tell me the story in order. But yeah,
I don't hate them. I do think it's best to kind of tell in story. But look at it this way, and we can move on. But look at it this way. How many of you guys can try stomach to watch Star Wars episodes 1 through 6?
I don't like Star Wars, so I couldn't do that.
I like Star Wars. I'm actually planning on doing that before 7 comes in.
Why does that not shock me?
Because I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and even though it's going to be a chore to get through the prequels, I'm definitely going to get through the original trilogy because that's just my jam.
You know what, Jake? Let me say this.
I thought you were talking about the first two. My bad.
And as a fellow Star Wars fan, I can definitely appreciate this. But somebody brought this brought this to my attention. They said the reason the movies are supposed to be viewed 4 through 6 and 1 through 3 is if you notice in the prequels, the ones that are chronologically set before, they never establish the rules of the game or the rules of the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's why prequels are kind of meant to be enjoyed after.
Yeah, true. And also, again, if you want a natural, regression of the Star Wars movies, you gotta watch the original trilogy first for the good stuff, and then watch that downfall. But regardless. Okay. With that being said,
I don't want to harp on the prequels. I feel like millions of people have done that across the world.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Okay. Speaking of DLC, because we went on a huge tangent. Let's talk about this pre-order DLC for Alien Isolation. Apparently, people who pre-order the Nostromo edition of the game get 2 DLC missions that are based on the first Alien movie. First one is titled Crew Expendable, which is at the very beginning of the movie after the guy dies from the chest burster, and the second one is based on like the pretty much the climax of the film called Last Survivor, which allows you to pretty much play that whole section where Ripley's trying to prevent the self-destruct sequence of the ship. So
Yeah.
that being said, did anybody else here that went to E3 with me? Did you get a chance to play the game when you were over there?
No, I didn't play.
I saw it play.
Okay, I think I was the only one who got to play it then.
I played it. I
Oh, you
played it.
All
I
right.
got something to say about the game.
So,
Game is incredibly difficult from what I played.
oh yeah.
Very challenging. It felt like it was a survival horror game because I recall that I was able to use the fire blower, but it ran out very quickly. So it's a little bit of strategy as well because you can't just go up to the alien and kill it. And they said that is the only alien that's in the game.
That's how it should be.
It's very much true to the formula of how the Alien franchise is, because again, they're going back to the original movie
I was
done by
gonna say
Ridley
this
Scott.
would be a good thing then if there's only one then, because then it's just like the original film.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool that, again, you're going to be able to play these missions that are based off exactly from the original film, and they're getting all the original actors to do the voice work for the characters. So you got Sigourney Weaver as Ripley and all the other people that were on that original movie, which is very, very cool.
That is awesome. Like I didn't get behind Aliens before. I think we mentioned it in a previous podcast because Colonial Marines kind of left a really, really, really sour taste in my mouth. But like I watched the trailer for Aliens Isolation, and then I knew the info about the one alien. I may be purchasing this on day one.
The thing is, I feel, yeah, you got to pre-order that in order to get that DLC. But what I was going to say was that I kind of feel that the whole way that Aliens, the sequel with multiple aliens, and like the way that James Cameron made that movie, that sequel, could still be done well, or at least the same type of approach done well in a gaming world. Just Aliens, Colonial Marines just kind of dropped the ball big time with that.
Yeah.
I still think like a developer, after this one's successful, I still want them to go back and still try to at least get another attempt to do something similar to, again, like where you're a team dealing with like multiple aliens that are on a certain area with it, because I think that could be awesome.
Yeah. Don't make it a shooter though.
No, I think it could still be done good and well as a shooter though. Like it doesn't have to be survival horror. I still think that that's still there. That's a gold mine that still needs to be harvested.
They don't need to cater to that crowd. Stick to what you're good at. It is a survival horror situation. It should be a slow-paced survival fright, like around corners kind of situation. Like well, I don't think it should be an action-intensive shooter with waves of aliens and whatnot.
But I still think it could work well as that, though. I still think that, despite that, because, again, I think we're all saying that now because of the sour taste that Colonial Marines did for us. But I think, like, if you put that in the hands of another developer outside of, like, 2K or whatnot, or Gearbox, we'll definitely get something that I think could really work well for that.
Well, put it like this. Is it better that we get... Like with it in the hand of a new developer, is it better that we get a shooter like they try to do what was already done and they improve that formula, or we get the slow burner and get a survival horror multiplayer game?
I think. Okay, what were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say I can for the most part agree with Jake. I think even from the same developer, I think you can have two different types of game feels that are polar opposites and yet still true to quality. Yeah, I hate to bring it up, just for the sake of bringing it up, but actually, truth be told, I don't really hate it that much. But if you look at Dead Space 1 and 2, those are both done by Visceral. They both really done, and in my opinion, in a quality way, but it's completely different atmosphere. It really is Alien 1 versus Alien 2. And I think going forward, if Creative Assembly, and I hope it's a huge success, I hope it works both critically and commercially. I don't see a reason why we can't get that Aliens game by a quality developer as a follow-up.
No, I'm not saying don't do Aliens. I'm saying don't make it like
he doesn't want to be a shooter.
Yeah,
he wants to be survival horror.
I mean,
I don't see why you can't have both. I don't see why you can't have a game. Like I don't see why you not even in the. I mean, you could do it in the same game if you had the developmental team to do it. But I would say, Why not have a Halo game or an Aliens game that is shooter, whatever, and then have another one where like when you're going to focus on like the actual Aliens films and hark back to that, all those films should be survival horror films.
Yeah,
Because
doing
that's
them
what the
separately,
movie
I'm
was.
down for that.
Let's be honest, though, gentlemen. Aliens Isolation is still a shooter. It's just got the shooting elements turned down to 1 or 2. That's not to say you can't amp the element.
That's what I'm saying. To slow the pace, like what it is, like less of a shooter and more.
There's more tension rather than action. Is what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say take
multiple gathering materials and all that kind of stuff. Make that
truth
the
be
focus.
told, Jake just said, it's more tension as opposed to action. I'm trying to imagine now how a Jaws game would work. I think it'd be awesome.
Exactly. Compared to the one that they actually did.
Not very good. I don't like. Not everything needs to be a movie. Like you don't need to make. Like we don't need to see the Sound of Music, the game. Like some films and stuff like that. Just leave
And
it
you just gave the person the idea for do that now. Thanks a lot.
You know what? If someone made the Sound of Music the game, I would just laugh. I would have nothing to say.
At the end of the day, and this is my opinion, and I know it's branching off a little, I think there is no story we couldn't do. It's just got to be done well.
There's going to be a Sound of Music Vita. The Sound of Music game is going to be a Vita exclusive because you spoke it into existence. Thank you.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
That might be the game that will save the Vita. Yeah, right. Never mind.
That was cool.
Sound of Music 2 by Telltale Games. That gameplay could serve the story.
Hey, they're doing Game of Thrones. They did The Walking Dead. They're doing Tales of the Borderlands of all things. Well, it's
Sound of Music 2 Scarlet's Revenge. It's gone.
Right.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like just focusing on pre-order DLC. Personally, I've hated pre-order DLC for a long time because even when you do pre-order from the store, I hate the fact that there's content in the game that I can't get because it's locked to one store and I got it from another. Like that's really stupid to me. Either make it where if you pre-order it, you get the same content regardless of where you buy it from, or just remove pre-order DLC. Period. I understand why you're doing pre-order stuff. You want to reward people who pre-order the game, but don't make it where GameStop has one item, Best Buy has another, Walmart has another, Amazon has another. I'm like, okay, I can't get all of these unless I buy 4 copies of the game. I'm not going to do that because I'm one person. So you're telling me that like you can't, and they make it where you could, it's like a one-time redeemable code. So it's not even like you could work with your friends and buy the game from all different outlets and then each use each other's codes. It's like, no, you're just missing out on content. This has been happening for a while, and I know they want to increase pre-orders, but I mean, there's got to be a better way to do it than this.
Well,
pre-order DLC's got to stop.
It's a situation though this time around, and I'm of two minds concerning it, because it's a situation where Walmart's not offering alternative. This is only coming from GameStop. And I can't get really that upset over it because A, I use GameStop a lot, and B, it's not like this is a out of reach niche retailer. This is probably the biggest game retailer in the United States. I think it's EB in other countries.
Were you saying that GameStop was the only ones that offer the bonuses and stuff? Is that what you said?
Well, no, like I was saying in general. No, in terms of Alien Isolation, I don't know if it's just pre-order or if it's specific to GameStop. I don't know myself, no.
But that's even part of the problem. There's no consumer freedom now. If I want the complete game, I have to buy it from GameStop. What if I don't want to buy it from GameStop?
Yeah, because I don't want to. I like to not have to purchase games from GameStop.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not a fan of GameStop at all. I don't. I see them as a huge contributing factor to the divide in profits that a lot of publishers and especially the developers get when you look at used game sales. And the fact that it's not even like they can say they're doing it to help gamers because they rip off gamers with used games anyway. So you're robbing gamers blind, and then you're robbing the people who make the game blind as well. It's like, no,
that'd be quite a topic of conversation.
That's why I want gaming to get to the point where it's like Steam, because if you look at how Steam functions, there's a reason those games the games are so much cheaper on Steam, and they have sales regularly. And Steam even allows you to digitally trade games with other people. Do you know why? Because it cuts out the middleman. It's all handled by the publishers. They get that money. So because they're getting that money and they know they're not losing any money, they're willing to lower prices. They're willing to allow you more things with it.
That's true. That's cool. So, with that being said, moving on, to our final topic, we're going to be talking about IP exclusivity. Okay, so here's the big topic. Here's the big question. Okay, should Microsoft and Sony work harder to secure IPs from a third-party publishers? Now, here's some examples. We got Sunset Overdrive that's being developed. Okay, for Microsoft's Xbox One. Okay, it's pretty much third-party studio making a game. For Microsoft that's only going to appear on that platform. You got other examples like Uncharted for Sony. You got a whole bunch of different ones here and there. Okay, so does that necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, or necessarily that means that it's a good thing? Okay, is it one thing technically that with them developing that game for that actual platform, does Microsoft own Sunset Overdrive, or does Insomniac do? From my understanding, anyway, is that the studio is being paid by was it Microsoft in this case in order to develop a game that's exclusive to that platform that belongs on a Microsoft ecosystem like that. So, what do you guys think of this? Is it good or bad?
I think the exclusive movement is good because the games that are made exclusively for console tend to be of better quality all around. Just like how polished they are when they come out, even the DLC that may come out for it, things like that, tend to be of better quality because they can focus on that one console. Now, I kind of like that Insomniac can jump and do whatever they want to do. I'm not too bitter about them doing Sunset Overdrive for Xbox, knowing that I won't have an Xbox in order to play it. And do I think Sunset should come over to PlayStation in the future? No, it should stay right over there. And if they want to make something exclusive for Sony, then do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't jump back and forth, because that takes me back to the whole Kingdom Hearts BS. Like, make it for one system and stick with it. Don't jump back and forth. If you're going to make it multi-platform, make it multi-platform all the way around, but I don't even want that to happen. Just make it exclusive.
Well, you can't blame them for wanting to do something like that, because at least with them going multi-platform, regardless of whatever the quality is going to be, they're still going to make profits being on multiple platforms rather than just one. That's a big argument with a lot of people developing games exclusively, again, for Wii U, for Vita, even 3DS, or again, even Sony Xbox One and PlayStation 4, that they want to put it on some of the last-gen consoles. Like
well, let the big three let the big three put their money where their mouth is and pay them to convince them that it's a good idea. Because of course multi-platform is always going to make more money for the most part, but put your money where your mouth is. Tell them, hey, I will give you this to make this for our console, and just stick with it.
Yeah, and there's two IPs that really highlight this point. Like, first of all, Mass Effect, because that started off exclusive to Xbox, and look how it ended up. And then Titanfall, that's all the same company, EA. But I personally find it kind of weird that Titanfall is exclusive that's been pushed on Xbox One and everything. But we could possibly get Titanfall 2 as a multi-platform.
Well, the Titanfall thing is they announced that before Titanfall was even before they showed gameplay of Titanfall, that they said that the future versions were going to be no, they didn't. I have a Game Informer issue where they were talking about how it may be on the other consoles. Like, they intended to make it multi-platform, but when Respawn started, they didn't have the resources to just start off multi-platform.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I think Titanfall is that's a exception to the rule as far as how that goes, because their intentions before and who those people were before they joined Respawn or whatever.
Titanfall, I think Titanfall is a situation where, and I'm grateful for it because I like Titanfall. But Titanfall is a situation that we wouldn't have got it if it was not an Xbox exclusive.
I just think that, I respect that. I understand that fact that they intended it to be multi-platform, but then isn't it Microsoft's job to persuade them to, then make it exclusive to their system?
They could.
Good luck with that, because these were guys that were behind the Call of Duty series, they know what that multi-platform blockbuster money looks like. I don't think there's a chance not doing it.
But look at it this way also. You also got other games, like, for example, games that we maybe never would, like you said, would have never gotten. Look at Bayonetta 2 now that it's exclusive on the Wii U, and everybody made a big deal about that at one point. That game would have never happened.
But you know why people were making exactly? I was about to say, it's a good point you brought that up, Jay.
Yep, exactly.
And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Nintendo trying to make it happen. And do you know why people were complaining? because it's not on the quote unquote right console. If that game was
Because
exclusive
if
to
you
a
wanted to
PlayStation console, no one would care.
But that one is kind of stupid though, because the thing is, like, didn't the original Bayonetta come out on 360 and
But
PS?
they didn't support it though. That's the thing.
Now,
Like it was a small group. It was a cult following of people that supported it, and Microsoft and Sony probably weren't dishing out the money to get the second one. So
Yep.
Nintendo was like, "Hey,
We'll
bam,
make it
let's
happen.
spend it.
Yeah.
We'll get it."
And
You know
you
what?
get
I mean, they did.
Nintendo has the marketing ability and the history with their exclusive games to lure in a platinum game and say, "Listen, you bring this game exclusively, we will support it, and I promise you, Nintendo fans will buy it because we'll add the Nintendo flair to it."
on top of that.
But check
Yeah.
it out.
Despite the fact that Microsoft just dropped money to get a new Platinum Games exclusive.
That's a brand new game. They don't. That's a new game.
new
That
IP.
that's promising money.
Giving them developers work. I think it's funny that Sony's the only console yet to get a Platinum exclusive IP so far.
I mean, that's on Sony. Who knows? Maybe they will go up to them with the money and say, "Well, we want an exclusive too." I personally, I don't know. I just think this is silly because the whole third-party exclusive thing. It's part of the reason why on the PlayStation 3, when Final Fantasy got announced, they sent death threats to people because what it does is it creates this entitlement kind of mentality. People think, "Oh, this franchise belongs to us. It belongs in our system."
They don't understand the business behind it.
Exactly. Or they don't even know the history of it. People think Final Fantasy belongs to Sony. No, it started on Nintendo. They think Metal Gear belongs to Sony. Nintendo and the NSX had that game. Like, there's these multi-platform games. Like, honestly, it's up to the company to the console, I should say, or the platform in most cases, to make an argument to the developer and the publisher. We will financially help you. We will try and guarantee that you see a return. That's on them. You can't blame the people making the game because at the end of the day, they have to do what's best for them from a business standpoint.
I think there are multiple reasons to go for it. I think there's the business choice, and then I'm going to be honest, guys. You would not have gotten Metal Gear Solid 4 on one disc on your Xbox 360. There are technical limitations, and if someone says I'm going to go third-party exclusive, meaning I'm going to maintain my IP, but I'm going to put it on your console exclusively. You got to acknowledge sometimes there are power gaps. Right now, the PS4 and Xbox One gap is bigger than the PS3 and Xbox 360 gap. And I'd be lying if I said that I would love to see a developer like Rockstar double down on a PlayStation 4 release just because, I mean, let's be honest, guys, and I say this as somebody who owns both. Are we going to get an Xbox One game that reaches 1080p? There are just some things you can do on one console that you cannot.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think we will over time, but not right now.
I don't even think it really comes down to that, though. I think it just comes down to how much the big three are willing to pay in order to get that exclusivity, whether it's timed or permanent like that. And also, again, how much the actual fans, the people who actually own the systems, are willing to support that by going out and buying the games or buying the previous game in the series, so that way their actual sequel will be able to get onto the platforms that they wanted to. Again, like you said, with Bayonetta, a lot of people just didn't support that game, as well as other titles where it's happened.
With Bayonetta, I think it was stupid up until the point they said that they're releasing the first game with it. Like, until that point, I thought it was completely stupid because this is a sequel to a game that was multi-platform, and now it's exclusive to a console that doesn't even have as big a user base as those other consoles. So
I agree. I had some issues with the fact that the first one went on there, but like because of the earlier points, I think it was a smart thing because it was a good game. Just people didn't support it, so Nintendo saw a chance. And like that I don't. How many of you guys have actually played the game?
I have not.
I did. At E3, I did.
Okay, like the character Bayonetta herself really has a big chance of becoming like an icon for games.
It has a unique look and a unique appeal, is what.
Yeah, and there's comedy. There's a lot of comedy there, like just the slapstick humor, like very mature humor also, which is it's funny because it went over to Nintendo.
Different because it's on a Nintendo platform, but again, it's more of like the getting the conversation started, getting people talking about it, and also making it so that way again now it pretty much gives it much more of a sweeter deal for them to get it on the Wii U at this point because now you're not just getting one game, you're getting two games now.
I mean,
Nintendo's big shtick is all about like unique titles and unique games, and that is definitely one of those things.
I think Nintendo is good in this regards. I think thank God they're bringing more content than just first first-party series that we've seen every console generation. But I mean, Platinum they've done a great job with. You probably wouldn't get Bayonetta 2 without Nintendo. We probably wouldn't have gotten Wonderful 101, which I've heard actually is a really great game from Platinum.
I can't hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go. Now we hear you.
But I do think, though, sometimes there's a lot of pettiness. I think no one should be rational or reasonable and issue death threats just because your favorite series is not coming on your preferred box. I say if you're a fan of the series, chase the series.
They threw the death threats even like it was still coming to their console. They just did death threats because it was on another one also. That's the ridiculous part.
They got death threats because Bob at 3 o'clock has nothing to do. I guess I could send a letter to Capcom about Mega Man.
Well, that's just bad business on there. There's a whole nother conversation about that. But the thing is, what the big thing with everything, with any franchise that makes a move that angers a lot of the fans and stuff, is that the fans don't really understand the business that's going on in the making of a lot of these games. And also, okay, they're not willing to kind of like you said, follow the series or kind of support it. That where what is it? They would actually give the developers or give the studios a lot more leeway, a lot more breathing room to kind of not only have the creativity of what they need, but also be able to continue the series in the fashion that fans are going to be pleased with. Again, it's a both way, it's a two-way street. Both sides got to take a step forward.
Well, I think it's also a situation where, and you look at somebody like Insomniac with Sunset Overdrive. I think people who get petty over it, I've got no time for. But money is an issue. Sony would not. So Sony just doesn't work in a way that you can create an exclusive franchise. Where they can literally fund something, and you can keep your IP. So I don't blame Ted Price for taking Sunset Overdrive because he wants that to be an Insomniac game. They're not getting Ratchet and Clank back, but by God, they get to take Sunset Overdrive wherever they go, and I say power to them. They're funding that. A lot of people think that Microsoft owned Gears of War up until this year. No.
Yeah.
Epic could have taken Gears of War, and they could have dropped it on the PlayStation anytime they wanted. It's a situation where they're not really obligated to do anything. But I do think going forward, and I don't think it's something to scoff at because half of me would, just because I care about quality, would like to see it utilized. I think difference in technology is a factor. People love Knights of the Old Republic, and they forget that only released on Xbox because it could only release on Xbox out of the 3 last gen. Metal Gear Solid's an example.
I get where you're going with that.
And I'm going to be honest. If from what I've heard, actually, I will not say. It's better not to say.
You want to say that you would like to see what the more powerful console could get if it were an exclusive thing, like to fully utilize it. Basically, because like Knights of the Old Republic is a situation where it was fully utilized for that because they could do it. But if you step back before that games get made and they're trying to do both, then you get a completely different game.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me for detaching myself from the fanboy-ism-ness, but if we look at the best games developed for the Xbox alone, last generation, if we look for the best games developed for the PS3, my honest opinion, I think PlayStation 3 exclusive titles looked better. And that's not favoritism or biasness, but if you compare Uncharted against Halo 4, I still think Uncharted 3 is going to walk out the victor.
Right.
And I'm not saying it because I think third-party exclusives are a chest-pounding endeavor or it's a trophy, but I think at the end of the day, if Rocksteady can build a good game across 2 ports, I can only imagine what they could do with a great game for just 1 console.
Exactly.
I'll say this, like, just in a perfect world, I don't know how everyone will feel about this, but it would be awesome kind of if everyone was kind of in a Nintendo stance where Sony only had their main titles were just their titles that they always did, not run into the ground like some of the Nintendo stuff, but you get only games on Sony and they fully utilize the power that's there, and the games that are on Xbox fully utilize that, and like you can focus on what that system is good at and what the people that purchase it expect from it. Because like Nintendo people, the people that fully embrace Nintendo, expect a certain type of thing. You're not going to be looking for a huge library of survival horror or something like that. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that, but I think the third party is very important too, and I do think you need those games on both platforms just for the people who only want one console so they can experience certain things as well.
Yeah, a lot of games are like, since there's no crossplay.
The way I look at it is like this: third party, they're responsible outside of when they're making an exclusive. Their main responsibility is just to make games for everyone. If you want a game that's supposed to make a console purchase worthwhile, that's what first party games come from. Yeah. So like to me, like that's why I'm part of a fan. That's probably why I'm a fan of Nintendo. Because when I look at Nintendo and their first party, like I can't think of any company in gaming that not only has the vault is larger than Nintendo for first party games, but they're consistently quality. Like if you think of the worst, I don't even care about sales personally. I care about them when I'm thinking of the business side, but I'm talking about just as a fan of playing video games, my enjoyment. Like sales don't matter to me there.
I think they're consistently the same game.
Like they're
not really. I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
I won't say they're the same. If you look at the Mario franchise, Mario continues to reinvent himself. Like people forget Mario Sunshine happened, and that game plays like
that game was amazing.
And a lot of people, and that's the other thing. Like it was probably one of the worst selling Mario games. Still sold
it was one of the
well,
best ones,
and it reviewed well, and it was quality. No one can say that Mario Sunshine is bad. You know what I mean? Like that's a quality game, even if you don't like it. That's what gets with me.
I just think it's a double-edged sword in the sense that I don't think, especially in this generation, we've never had a situation where the most powerful console was initially the cheapest. I think first-party releases are great, and I think that's a reason you come to a console, but I don't think that's the reason you stay. If I think that was the reason you stay, we would all still be playing Wii. You've got to keep some investment.
I don't know about that. The Wii isn't.
Well, no, like in the sense that, like not Wii particularly, but people flock to the Wii's because they love that. Mario Kart with the wheel motion. We love that Twilight Princess. It's great to keep first party the focus, but if all you have is first party, as we've seen with Nintendo, people tend to go away.
I disagree with that completely.
I disagree too.
Even the people who love Sony, why do you think people love Sony? The people, all those Sony fanboys out there,
not exclusives.
The one thing they talk about, exclusives. They talk about the Sony franchises. They talk about the Gran Turismo.
You're disagreeing that
so many people ditched the PS2s in favor of the Xbox 360. And I think if that was also the case, we would not have this complete rehaul where they're even wanting to put Uncharted 3 now out. Excuse me, the Uncharted series, all 3 games, out on the console. Because I think the impression is people bought a PS4 for games. They did not buy a PS4 to play the Uncharted series or The Last of Us. I'm grateful The Last of Us. Yeah.
Wait, I don't understand because I'm like, if that was why do you think they're releasing a remastered Last of Us on the PS4? It's 2 reasons. A, there's a drought, and B, because people want Sony games. I mean,
you look at it's something like 50% of PS4 owners do not own a PS3 due to the fact that 50% weren't compelled enough by the PS3 to flock to its lineup last gen. I think it's telling.
I mean, we're still the first year into the consoles aren't even a year old yet. What am I even talking about? We're still in the first year. I should say, of these current gen consoles.
Well, we are.
Know, honestly, people now there's a vast majority of people now buying consoles who just never had consoles before. Kids who are older now. Or maybe people who just got into gaming late, you know what I mean? So, there's going to be a large amount of...
I'm not arguing that. I'm saying it's a situation... The PS3s are still in stock. And if I think people were captivated enough by Uncharted or The Last of Us, they would buy a much cheaper box, and they would buy much cheaper versions of their games. It's a situation where a lot of people have PS4s. Let's give them something to play on.
Right, it makes sense. That's true. But the main thought is that overall, for most of the platforms, as far as the industry, most people play on certain consoles mainly because of the exclusives. And the exclusives are at least a key component, as much as the third-party games across all platforms are a key component. But you really choose a platform based on the games that you know that are going to be quality experiences that sometimes are more, that are only on that particular platform that you're not going to get anywhere else.
I mean, I'm not
That's-
arguing.
Like I don't understand anyone who would say I'm buying a PlayStation 4 for Call of Duty. I would stare at them and say, you can play Call of Duty on anything.
Anywhere. Yeah,
Why-
exactly.
You know the crazy thing? A lot of
They
people
probably-
bought Xboxes for that very reason.
Oh, but I mean that's
a lot of people will buy Xbox, but I think it is a case, and I think you look at Sony, they're pointing it out. They're saying this is the best place to play all games. People are going to tout not just first party, they're going to tout superior multi-plat. That's now it has
superior
become.
in what way?
That opens up a whole nother can of worms.
That's a different can of
Whole other
worms.
discussion.
Superior in 1080.
Superior because it's graphics, but okay, Microsoft is now battling that with exclusive content. You get content earlier, or you might just only get content on our system if you buy it. That's a completely different battle. You see what I'm saying?
It's not talking about exclusive.
That's why you can't use multiplats to say this is the why you buy a console.
When you
Because
see
if anyone
situation
told me that they were buying they bought a PS4 so they could play Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter, I would stare at them and say, you're not going to get the complete game on that system.
Well,
why is that any less logical than, oh, I'm going to buy Call of Duty so I can get the content a couple months later?
No, I didn't say that's any less logical. I'm saying they cancel out. That's my point.
What he's saying is like your statement was that people don't stay because of the first party games. When he's making the point that that's why they stay. It's because you can buy an Xbox, you can buy a PlayStation with these multi-platforms, but if you have to choose one, what's going to make you choose that one over
Exactly.
that?
Well, let me ask you this, because we all had an Xbox and a PS3 last generation, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
I had all
How
the
many of
systems.
you got your multiplats on your PS3? How many of you stomached that terrible, terrible port of Skyrim?
I never played Skyrim on PS3, so I didn't know.
I never played
I did. I got it on PS3. I regretted it later, but thankfully I got a gaming PC, and then I got to enjoy it in all its glory. So.
I'll be honest. The main reason I bought multi-platforms on 360 had nothing to do with the game itself. It was I preferred Xbox Live and first
I'll say because I think Jake is drastically trying to wrap it up. If people did not care about multi-platform differences, then Lens of Truth and Digital Foundry would not be as popular as they are.
But they aren't as popular as you think they are. Those sites are popular they're popular with that small 3 to 5% quote unquote hardcore fanboy gamer. That's not the majority of consumers. The majority of people going to GameStop to buy games don't know what Digital Foundry is. They don't care. They want the game that's either cheaper or the game that's showing on the screen behind them that looks the best. That's it.
So you think Jeff Kiley telling Phil Spencer at E3 why would someone buy an Xbox when games run better on the other console isn't important to the quote unquote average gamer who might happen to be watching the E3 footage?
No. Because the quote-unquote average gamer, which is the majority of the gamers, the reason they're getting a PS4 right now is twofold. A, it's cheaper, and B, it has the games that they want to get at that time. It has those games.
Exactly.
Because right now,
we
joke about the PS4 having a drought. We joke about the PS4 having a drought right now. Well, the Xbox is having a drought too. So basically, there's
nothing. What you have releasing for the PlayStation at the end of the year, and I'd say this as a pretty pro PlayStation guy. Look at what you got releasing for the PlayStation, and then multiply that by 3, and that's about the lineup for the Xbox One this year.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm talking about right now because game sales that we have numbers for only dictate now. I don't know how systems are going to sell in 6 months from now. I can guess. I don't know for sure. Right now, the PlayStation 4 is selling.
We're talking about what's being offered in the lineup, and right now the Xbox One has the better lineup, yet the PlayStation, and they're the same price right now. Yet the PlayStation 4 is still outselling it.
Yes, because
because of the games and the exclusive titles that what's being offered and what's going to be offered down the line. That's the main point of what we're all trying to make and what we're observing, though. Is what I'm saying.
That's a much larger can of worms.
And that's a bigger can of worms because they weren't always the same price.
Wow.
They've only been the same price.
Next time.
I'm just saying, I think superior multiplats do play a part. That's all.
I think they're significant, but that's what it really comes down to is the games that are exclusive. They're going to be the quality that you're going to associate with that platform. That usually comes with the first-party titles. So.
I'm just going to end it with this. I'm going to end it with this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. If superior multi-platforms really played that big of a deal, why did the Wii U sell? When the few instances that it even had multi-platforms with the PS3 and the 360, the Wii U port was drastically worse. It wasn't even
I just want to answer that real quickly.
the Wii U sold because it was a gimmick, and the Wii U is not selling because it doesn't have third-party support, and you have to wait like 6 months to get an exclusive game. So
that doesn't even make any sense.
Gary
the Wii sold because of its first-party lineup. People bought it to play Nintendo games. It's the same reason the 3DS sells now. Remember how bad the 3DS sold when it first came out because it was too expensive and it had bad marketing? And then the first-party games came and it sold.
The Wii U is still the dominant console from last generation with over, like I think, 120 million units sold. Why did you not have, if multiplats do not matter, why did you not have, and there was online for the Wii, why did you not have a massive Call of Duty community on the Wii?
Because it was already established on the Xbox 360. People were already playing with their friends online.
I was going to say, you're forgetting. People actually do play. I'm not saying that I would advise people do this. People do play Call of Duty. Call of Duty 4 is on the Wii. You could get on the Wii right now, turn Call of Duty 4 on, and it will be packed. People will be playing it. Why? I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I think the reason being, and I'm sorry, Jake, because I know you want to wrap it up, but I think the reason being is largely, there's an install. Well, actually, no, I can't say it's an install base because I think you have a situation where, we sold more than 360s. I think people will look, and I think it's minute right now, but I think it will grow. People will look at two versions of a game and say this one looks like crap compared to the other one that's on the box.
It really comes down to, in that case, and I'll wrap it up with this.
Yeah, wrap it up. We'll talk about this.
I'll just say the final thought, at least with that particular thought. The reason why, specifically because Call of Duty is obviously better on the other platforms, because the actual install base and the community is already established on Xbox Live. That's why it's better than on all the other platforms. The game itself and the fact that it's on there, you're still able to get games that still have an experience on that. Whatnot, but again, that's in that particular situation, the community was already established, so that's why it's always so much more better, especially when it comes to finding matches and stuff. But the main point of the entire topic, though, is that exclusivity is specifically games that appear just on one particular platform, whether they're first-party or third-party exclusives to the platform, is what defines that particular console. That's the reason why people now are going to go get an Xbox One, are for games like Sunset Overdrive, games like Ori and the Blind Forest, and etc. People are going to go get a PlayStation 4 for games like Bloodborne, games like, Entwined, games like Little Big Planet 3, etc. Those are the games that are going to be associated with those.
I'm willing to put that money on the table, cash money. The Destiny will sell more PS4s than Bloodborne will.
Well, Destiny's getting a huge, ridiculous marketing budget, and it's being done by Bungie. It's a new IP and whatnot, but look at the different studios that's being developed and different types of games.
Hold on. Go ahead and wrap it up, Jake.
Okay, well, either way, that's a whole another topic for another time, okay? So we reached the end of this co-op podcast, heated and, crazy towards the end or whatnot. So, from everybody here, coalition.com, run through the cast here, me. You got, obviously, Gary Swaby, Richard Bailey, Michael, Charles, Austin, all the guys here, and myself. We wish you guys a good day, a good night. Be sure to check out all the content over on thecoalition.com. All the other past co-op episodes, all the new reviews we got going up, and all the news stories that are popping up on the Coalition's website. Any last thoughts from you guys real quickly?
Well, actually, I will say... Oh, go ahead.
No, you got it.
I was just going to say, you might be, you might find this amusing, but I'm fairly certain that Black Ops on the Wii U does have a bigger community than Killzone Shadowfall on the PS4. So take that for what it's worth.
Oh, that's cold.
I'll say shout out to all the Silver Spoon Timmies out there in the world. I will be destroying you in all these free-to-play games. I'll see you shortly when I play League of Legends. That's
nice.
I hate that game.
Michael, final thought.
I don't really have one. Just play games and have fun, man. Stop the fanboy crap on the internet. Just play video games, dudes.
Yeah. Richard, final thought. Gary, final thought.
I just want to say shout-outs to all the Wii U owners. I'm sure you'll have something to play in a couple months' time.
They got something to play now, B. Mario Kart 8.
You know what? I can't believe you said that because
Mario Kart 8, B.
They got more to play right now than PS4 players. So
hey, wrap it up. Wrap it up, because we
wrap it up. Okay, Richard, final thought.
That's not an angle you want to throw the jab from, because it's gonna get parried. So,
final thought, quick.
I just got one shout out. Shout out to the fans, everybody that's supporting the site. And for those,
I don't really have one. Just play games and have fun, man. Stop the fanboy crap on the internet.
What the heck?
Yo,
It has risen.
hey, Rich is about to like snipe somebody's head off real quick.
Seriously.
well, I don't know who that was, Mr.
That was
Sunset.
Ed. That was your boy Edward.
But as I was saying, shout out to the fans. But I have to say this: for those that listen to these shows and watch these shows and pick and choose things that we say about a system, and then think that we are being biased towards another system, you need to actually watch the whole show and every show, because we have said bad things about Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. So don't pick and choose a topic and say these guys are being biased. I don't have to say the person's name. You know who it is because you left a comment on our last podcast. So with that said, watch all of the show and listen to everything being said before you develop an opinion on saying that, well, we think this way about this. No, every system got its problems. Case closed. Wrap it up. That's it.
Legit, he didn't even have to watch another podcast.
Right.
He just had to listen to the rest of that one.
Rich was over there and just like, you know what? Yeah, just dropped the mic and walked off. So with that being said,
To that comment, please leave another comment.
Yeah, come back and please leave another comment.
I don't read the comments, so you guys can tell me off after the show.
But yeah, with that being said, thanks again, guys, for listening and watching the Co-op Podcast, episode 81. We'll be back for episode 82 real soon next week. Hope you guys check it out. Check out the rest of the stuff on thecoalition.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. We'll see you guys again soon. Peace out. Stay epic, everybody.